Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. See, when he said that, I was thinking, he's not talking about me, is he? Anyway, the association probably would run well over 70 events, whether that's a football match, whether it's a conference, whether it's an awards event, over 70 events in a year. Who remembers the 7th of September 2005? Before you answer that, any English in the audience? I know there's one over here. I'm just really sorry, but 1-0. One over there, that's great, another 1-0. I remember when I was asked to speak at a conference and the guy says to me, tell you what, Geoff, I'll give you £1 for every time you mention 1-0 before the English IFA came in. So I got £6, so I was happy enough. But that was our wow moment. And that was an event. I guarantee everybody in here remembers that event. And people talked about it, and it gave that little bit of a buzz about the whole nation. And it is an event that was very, very important in our history. And to be honest with you, as I say, it was our wow moment. And it was from there that we started to realise, what do we do now? How do we commercialise this activity? Because before that, we didn't have a commercial strategy, a merchandising strategy. Our brand was at an all-time low. We didn't talk to people, etc., etc., etc. And that was really down to the association's fault. But on the back of that one event that really catapulted us, it made us really get into the driving seat, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes. But who sponsors the Premiership in Northern Ireland? If you get to your devices. And remember, it's A, B, C, D, or E, and then hit the wee reply button. So who sponsors the Premiership in Northern Ireland? Not in England, but in Northern Ireland. 51%, we're doing well. So who sponsors the Northern Ireland Football League, or top league in Northern Ireland? Okay, C. That was Carling, wasn't it? C was Carling. That's good. That's good for me, actually, that 58% see Carling as the main sponsor, because that's one of the reasons why Carling has got into sponsoring the Premiership, is for brand awareness, an important element. Next question. Who sells your sponsorship packages? Do you sell them? Does a consultant? Or a mixture of both? If you're a rights holder, that is, and I know there'll be less people voting on this one, but that's okay. Who sells your sponsorship packages? So if you've developed a right, do you do it yourself? Do you try and bring in an agent? Or is it a mixture of both? See the results. Okay, so most people do it themselves. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. For us, an association, we actually do both, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And the last question. So why do businesses sponsor your event or your program? Why do businesses sponsor? Why do they engage with you and give you money? Is it magic moments? Is it those experiential activities, mascots, behind-the-scenes tours, etc., etc.? Is it brand awareness? Is it engagement with your customers? Is it sampling? Is it access to your marketing channels? Why would people get involved in your business with your sponsorship event or sponsorship right? While you're doing that, we are seeing in the association a big change. Believe it or not, yes, it is brand awareness is number one, but we are seeing A and E becoming much more prevalent. When a sponsor comes to us after maybe the second meeting, tell me about your social media strategy. Tell me about your email database. Tell me about how you are engaging directly with your fans and how I can get on the back of that. And that is getting much, much more high up the agenda. But what also is getting up the agenda, tell me how I can make love to my customers. Tell me how I can engage with my customers and give them something unique. Give them a magic moment. And that is something that we've had to sit down and say, right, okay, well, what are them magic moments? Is it a mascot program? Is it access to our manager, where we do a manager's event for our sponsor, for their customers, on a breakfast seminar and a breakfast event? Is it playing on the Windsor Park pitch? What additional things can we do that will really give them something that they can engage with customers on? Okay, 52 brand awareness would probably see that. And engage with your customers. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. Okay, well, basically from our point of view, just to give a very, very quick background, We look after international football, so we have about 9 international teams. We look after domestic football, that's everything from the Carling Premiership right the way down to adult amateur league football. We look after women's football, and we look after boys and grassroots football. We roughly have about 2,000 teams in Northern Ireland that we would be responsible for from a discipline, fixture management, competitions, you name it. But that gives us a framework, and this is the starting point, is your strategy. And our strategy sits around international, domestic and grassroots, and therefore our sponsorship strategy sits around international football, domestic football and grassroots football. And that is something that we, again, didn't have pre-2005 as a strategy. But from that wow moment, we said, okay, we need to develop, first of all, a plan of where we are now, and believe me, in 2005 it was not good, and where do we want to be in 5-10 years' time, and what is the programs that makes us move in that direction. And that's basically our strategy. So from a sponsorship point of view, what we did first of all is we just literally said, hey, list all we can sell. Do you do that? And if you don't, I would recommend that you do it. And I don't mean that from a point of view, again, if you're a rights sponsor, if you're a rights holder, well, I'll tell you what I'll do, title sponsor of the event. I mean everything. Right the way from your ads in a program, right the way from your magic moments, right the way from maybe even a right that's not even there. And that's what we do. We basically put down all our rights, all the cost with any additional comments around it all. And that gives us something that we can then start to package together. So the first thing you have to do is pull together, from our point of view, is without doubt, what is you're selling? So see Mervyn here on motorbikes. Is there something unique that you can do? The back of a motorbike, I'm sure he's probably fallen off a seat now, that you can go around the course. Can you do that in the doctor's car? In that sort of activity for your right that you're selling. Next thing then is your sponsorship strategy, and this is our sponsorship strategy. If you notice, who sponsors the Champions League? Who's the title sponsor of the Champions League? The #1 tournament outside of the Olympics. Who sponsors it? Now the answer is, there's 5 people. They do not have a title sponsor. And they give the same rights because of who they are to 5 different companies like Ford and Carlsberg, etc., etc. Our strategy and our activity wouldn't do that model, so there's a number of different models, but what ours does is on the international, again, remember the strategy, international, domestic, grassroots. So in the international we have 1 title sponsor, and that's Vauxhall. We did one of the biggest deals with Vauxhall recently as our title sponsor for the international game from under 16 up to senior football. And if I remember, I'll try and remember what we do with Vauxhall in terms of all our activation. But then what we thought, and again, bear in mind, pre-2005, we said, hey, there you go, sell that sponsorship right, and there you go, and we'll get that money in, thanks very much, hey. And then we thought, well, but how do we make more money on the back of this wow moment that we had? So what we said, okay, well, let's divide out co-sponsors and co-partners. And that's exactly what we did to generate additional money. So for example, Coca-Cola is one of our partners, and they provide all our drinks. They're not our title sponsor. We give our title sponsor a range of different packages, remember from the first slide. But what we do then, we bring on other additional people that we need products like Coca-Cola, etc., etc. And we bring in a media partner. And our media partner, again, we're fortunate because of who we are, is we look at live rights. And again, this is something to think about. Don't just have a media partner, think about it. Okay, how do we divvy it up? The way we divvy it up, we divvy up live rights, we divvy up highlights, we divvy up internet rights, we divvy up radio rights, we divvy up video on demand rights, we divvy up rights in the past. So every single element of our rights are divvied up. We don't just say, yeah, there you go, take it all. But we break it out in terms of our TV, in terms of how we can get the most bang for buck for our money, because international is what drives the rest of our association in terms of money. So we have Sky on the live rights for internet and on TV. We have BBC on our highlights, radio programmes, etc., etc. And we have a company called Sport 5 that does all our second and third party rights. I know probably as well from Mervyn, I do a bit of work with the Ulster Grand Prix. No offence, Mervyn, which was the world's fastest road race, is the Ulster Grand Prix. But we've been looking at how we can activate the Ulster Grand Prix for second and third party rights, i.e. rights where you're selling into different regions, and how you can generate additional money. On the domestic side, we have one sponsor for the Premiership, one sponsor for the Championship. We bring co-sponsors, and I'll be honest with you, we thought, how do we get a co-sponsor in on the domestic side? We thought, hey, fair play sponsor, hey, let's make it up. But we actually did start to develop then rights ourselves and put them in as key packages. Then looked at referees, referee sponsors. Interesting one there. We thought when we looked at sponsorship, we thought, right, how do we make even more money? And then we thought, what have we got that somebody else doesn't have? Loads of football pitches. Right, what can we do with that? And what we basically did, anybody, who's got a BlackBerry? Hand up, BlackBerry, iPhone. Right, keep a hand up. Who had it 5 years ago? Who had BlackBerry? Yeah, very many people down. Anybody on the phone and all of a sudden it goes, call congested or call failed. And what happens, sorry, I feel as if I'm talking about mobile stuff now. On the mobile mast, it contracts like a mushroom, and the more people that use data and use internet, it contracts, and therefore your call calls off. So we said to the guys, well, why don't we do a sponsorship arrangement and use our premises to put more mobile masts around the country? And we now are generating additional revenue, and the people who did that sponsor our referees program. So we're thinking, how do we do different things on a commercial basis? Again, we bring in a media partner, TV and radio. And then we look at our cup tournaments. We look at our Irish FA Cup, our League Cup, our Intermediate Cup, all the rest of it. We brought on last year with a new Coca-Cola, our sponsor for the Intermediate. But the one I always loved saying was WKD, quirky brand, really different. And they had a brand or a board at our games, and it basically said, WKD sponsors the Intermediate Cup. Well, it was cheaper in the Champions League. So then we look at then grassroots football, and we break out grassroots football again within certain rights. So we look at our schools programme, we look at our club and community, which is after schools, we look at our elite and excellence, we look at our coach education and child protection. And what we do in each of those, the properties that I talked about, we put them all down so it's very, very clear when somebody wants to talk to us, or vice versa. So agreed sales programme, interesting. I understand. In general, I find it is better trying to get sponsorship yourself. I understand that, and I would have to say it is quite true. What we're finding at the minute, the market has definitely increased. Definitely. We are getting more businesses in the last 2 months talking to us than we ever did, I would say, in the last 15, 16 months, without doubt. And we're talking to the people in London, Dublin, the main key decision makers. Some of them have come through sponsorship consultants, but in general, a lot of it is coming through us going out. And that's why we go for a strategy of both. You do and you should be talking to sponsorship consultants. They don't like a commission-only basis, but sometimes it works. And they have got good relations, so don't forget about that market. Okay, then what we do, we develop a PDF, a one-pager, because individuals who are looking to sponsor are very busy. So we have one PDF that says what the right is. So in this case, international team. So a bit of background to us, background to the cup, what you get for your investment. Enough top line to say, tell me more. What we then do on the back of that is put an Excel spreadsheet that says exactly what you get as your right. So the number of what your interview board percentage is on the back, whether it is the number of mascot places, whether it is something unique like a trophy tour. Believe it or not, it is amazing how just a simple trophy tour can generate PR. I'm fortunate to do a lot of work for UEFA on a consultancy, and they bring the Champions League around the world and they sell it as a right, and it is amazing with how people love to see a trophy. So number of tickets, you name it, every single thing, so it's very, very clear. Again, bear in mind, this all started from our wow moment. We then look at evaluation. Every single day, I get from Kantar Media evaluation, and I send it on then to the sponsor. And basically all I'm saying, you got coverage! And it means that when we also then look at that, they can see, right, here's the level of coverage. Photographs, anybody take a photograph on your sponsorship? We quick tip, although most of you probably should know this, don't be doing a photograph, top and tails, thanks very much, with a nice handshake. What it should be is as tight as you can get it with a sponsor's brand, something that's quirky. either quirky in the photograph or something that sells the actual thing that you're doing nice and tight. And the tighter you can get the photograph, the better it is for your partner. We also then evaluate our TV coverage through an independent organisation. And we basically say this is the time that your board was on the game, and we evaluate that against Sky and TV, and this is independent. We then look at independent research that says about the IFA as a body and about all our sponsorship. So we can say, right, what we are like in terms of how we have tackled our Football for All programme, how we are perceived as being professional, etc., etc., etc. And we do this on a yearly basis. And the last thing we do, because you're probably saying, yeah, but that's costly. I get it. I understand. And it is. But what we did, we went just online. We just did an online survey. People coming to ours that says different questions about the sponsor. Are you aware that this sponsor sponsors this tournament? What do you take out of that? Are you more likely to be positive about that sponsor? Are you more likely to buy their product because they're sponsoring football? So questions like that then can be used when you engage with sponsors, that you can say, this is what fans come on our site have said about this trophy or this competition. So curling, I think, was the #1 at the minute, awareness. And people are saying they are more engaged with curling, they're more aware of curling, they're more likely to drink curling, etc., etc., etc. So how do we pitch to our sponsors? Basically what we would do, there's a different range, and we've just changed this process of late. And what we do is we have we produce a glossy package. We put a shirt into the package. We put the name of the shirt of the chief executive on the back of the shirt. We put it inside along with a membership card that gives him percentage off Northern Ireland products. And then we send it to him with a signed letter of Dear Joe Bloggs, signed from our chief executive. And we would target roughly around about 100 each over a period of time. When we do that, then we go, and then two things will happen. Either they will approach us. Major supermarket did that. We've met them in London. We've now sent them a proposal. So that came directly from that programme. But sometimes then you've got to do the calling on the back of it. And it's got to be quite quick straight after the activity. But because it's chief executive to chief executive, that's a valid point from us. When we then do sit with the company eye to eye, we do and develop a presentation, and we try to make it a wow factor. Don't be going with a bit of pen and a bit on back of a fag paper. I know you wouldn't, but I'm just saying that comes across in terms of perception. So what do? Well, we give background to the IFA. We talk about our history. An Ulsterman is to thank for the penalty kick. Not too many English would like it, especially when you play Germany. But anyway, we've got loads of background history, loads of culture, and we put that into the presentation. We talk about our awards that we won. We obviously, as was mentioned, we won a UK award. Funny story about that. The guy rung me and said, Geoff, you need to be at this 300 Marketeers in London, blah, blah, blah. You need to be there. And I went, you're a great salesman, and didn't even go and get the trophy. Isn't that really sad? So anyway, we've done obviously PR on the back of it in terms of the programme of activity that we do at the minute for sponsors. We would then put photographs that we've got from the year before, and we put their logo to where the previous sponsor was. So we have a student comes in, and he basically drops their logo, so it looks to the sponsor, these guys are serious. Plus, I can now see what my brand would look like on a billboard, on an interview board, at an event, etc., etc. What we then do is we talk about our channels to market. So we do an awful lot in social media. Our social media, for example, we integrate our online shop into our social media. I think there's very few companies and organisations do that, but we do. We do an awful lot within our videoing. We do all our videos on a £120 flip phone. People from all around get to see interviews from famous people that we would do ourselves that goes on to the video, because people are consuming data differently. We have 26,000 emails that we have, so we've developed that database. And so we then say, and we also do an insert which will be coming out in the Daily Mirror on Monday, an insert about the IFA and what we do as an organisation. So it positions them by saying, here's our background, here's what your brand would look like on the rights, Here's information on the right itself. Here's all the communications platforms that you can get the hold of, and we normally finish it with a real flashy video. So spend a lot of time, and our chief executive and myself go to the meetings. So then, why do sponsors come to us? Well, I think that's why I'd asked. It is about brand awareness. That is why people come to Northern Ireland, to the Irish IFA. It is about brand awareness, and I'm sure most people would agree. But as I was saying, most people are changing. They're adding brand awareness, and straight away it's in the main email, social media. What is your marketing channels? What is your channels to market? And the last thing is magic moments. What we did with Vauxhall, we said to Vauxhall, tell you what we'll do, why not play in the big pitch at Windsor Park? How many Northern Ireland fans would want to play at Windsor Park? So we went online on the social media, on our Facebook site. People were able to fill in why they should play on Windsor Park. They actually then went and played on Windsor Park. We had a home kit and away kit. We had 2 legends from the past, all got videotaped, and the goodwill that was generating on our website, on our Facebook, started to do an awful lot of activity. From Carling, we did Legends events. Legends were legends of the past, come and do a Q&A with fans. McDonald's, they do our mascot program, and the emails that we get in from parents saying about how we looked after them, how everybody got a beautiful pack, right down to that level of detail that has helped us to generate. So in general, there is other things like sampling and all the rest of that, but in general, that's why people come to us for sponsorship. So how do we manage our relationships? Well, what we would do, we would meet, if it's not on a conference call, it's a face-to-face meeting every 6 to 8 weeks. This week alone, we met 2 or 3 last week. We had a conference call this week with Iron Brew, very, very interesting brand. But we do an awful lot managing on that relationship, and that is so key. I think Richard had talked about it earlier. When there is problems, that relationship comes through because you've spent time to cultivate that relationship. So we would do an awful lot on this, and then once a year we would bring all the partners together, and that's tricky. When we have about 12 partners, we have people like JJB, Umbro, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Vauxhall, Carling, Belfast Telly. So we've got about 12 partners, and that's difficult when you bring them into a room, and we basically said, how crap are we? First thing, how crap are we? And then, what is it you want us to do? And then, how can we all work together? And I can be honest with you, the first one that we did a number of years ago, it was get the helmet on. Because again, it wasn't good. But that's where you got to start sometimes. We had our last one in June there, and everyone said we're absolutely delighted with what you provide to us. Last week, I had a sponsorship consultant rung me from Scotland and said he was asking about a new sponsor, was willing to chat to us and what our pricing and all was. And his words were, Geoff, you guys are known in the market for over-delivering and your creativity and your online presence. Now, I've talked to this guy in my life 10 times, but for him in the industry to say that about little Northern Ireland is a big plus. To say that everybody knows that you over-deliver and you focus on the relationship, etc., etc., etc. So we would meet and we develop different ideas when they come together. What sponsors are actually seeing now is that sponsors are now talking to each other and seeing what other things that they can do together. Benefits that our sponsors bring to us, big benefits. For example, Carling came on board, and I see Aislinn's here. The difference that those guys brought to us when we first did that deal was massive in terms of digital agencies, PR agencies, etc., etc. And it keeps us on our toes. And that's why we start to put into these awards and all the rest, and why we're starting to win them, because it's our sponsors who are driving us, and that we are keeping that front of mind. So in general, it's that we are delivering. We say what we say we do, and we're delivering. Over-deliver is always good. Maintain that relationship as well. So coming to the end, a couple of examples. McDonald's, interesting one, it's a renewal. If you've got a sponsor, somebody on the 8th of December, all the sponsorship guys from all the IFAs are meeting in London. And I remember the head of sponsorship in the English IFA said, renew, 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 and renew. If you've got a sponsor, hold on to them, because they're a nightmare to try and get new ones, because it is tough out there. So we've managed to renew McDonald's for another 4 years. But what we did, first of all, we sat down and said to him, what is your targets? What is your objectives? What is your et cetera, et cetera? What is it you're looking out of it? And once we got that, we were able to develop a package solely to meet that need. And then we sold that package to them. And it's simple things. They said, look, we want to move the sponsorship on to the next level. We want to have an awards night for grassroots football. And actually the awards night's in the Belfast City Hall on Tuesday. On people who's Coach of the Year, Club of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, and the PR that gets around that. But when we did that, it was all about identifying their objectives. Once we identified the objectives, then we were able to develop a package all around that. When we developed the package, we brought them over. We then sold them again. Why, again, their money is safe with us. Because it already is with us. Why it's safe with us. And from that, then, we were able to develop and negotiate a package for them. Iron Brew's an interesting one. They were ones that we knew were already involved in football in Scotland. So we went and talked to them. The process was very, very simple. We met at a hotel in Northern Ireland. Again, same presentation. We sold our story to say your money is safe with us. Look at our reach to the market. Look what we're getting on awards. Look at this, look at this, look at this. That makes it hard for them to say, okay, I get it. And then we went over to Scotland, to Dumbarton, and we finished off the deal in Scotland. But again, for Iron Brew, then we thought, right, okay, Iron Brew, let's do the ginger boot. So right, once a year, there is, or once a month, believe me, there is a ginger boot. And there also is an Iron Man. So there's different little programs that we have done for them that gives them additional PR and additional branding. And just on with them the first year, and they've already said, the conference call was yesterday, delighted. For next bit on the call, what else can we do for you? What else can we do for you? So tonight, or today, while I'm here at 11 o'clock, it's just happening, is the draw for the next round. And we're going to video the draw and put the draw up online. That's not in our agreement. It's not at all. But it's extra branding and it's good content for us as well. So learnings. You always like to see when learnings, that says, good, that boy's near finished. Thank goodness. So things to cover in your presentation. Try to get your brand connections. Why, what is the similarities between your brand and theirs? What is the objective that they're trying to get and how you can meet? How can you say our brand has the same values as your brand? Make sure that they can fit together. Photos of sponsors, logo and backdrops, cups and ribbons, put that into your presentation so that they actually can see this is what it could be like if it comes alive. Demonstrate your marketing channels. We're seeing this more and more and more, and it's really in the social media area where people are saying, tell me how I can talk to your people, how I can engage with your people, and then let's talk about the magic moments. And believe it or not, if you sat down with a group of people and you put down all those magic moments, you'd be amazed of what you can sell or enhance, the way we did with McDonald's. So McDonald's was, let's look at the program, but we added on and looked at their objectives. We were able to add on more magic moments that were able to drive up the value. So make sure you've got if you don't have channels to market, emails and all the rest of it, make sure you've got a plan to put that in place. Make a sponsor credible brand with unique access or magic moments, and I think I've talked about that already. Be that on like a Legends night, be that playing on the pitch, be that whatever that may be. Be that we brought our past manager Nigel Worthington out to Irwin's Bakery, who sponsor us. And Irwin's Bakery, one of their things was saying, look, we'd like to engage with our customers, people like Tesco's and all. I said, we'll do that. And believe it or not, a lot of the guys were actually Northern Ireland fans. So Irwin's Bakery actually hosted a breakfast seminar, of which Nigel was there with about maybe 10 of their customers. And those customers then got a unique access, a unique experience brought to them by Irwin's Bakery. And we did that, again, over and above and outside the contract. That was a relationship building, which was good for, obviously, us as well. Media valuation. This can be a little bit of a black magic, and I understand that. But it is important that you put into your presentations, here's the number of people you can get to, the number of evaluation. Here's what the guys got in the previous, some examples of cuttings, so you can demonstrate how good it is. Remember, taking a photograph and all of those little bits that I've talked about. And obviously, increase our areas for sales or opportunities. Iron Brew, they bring a huge bus, and believe me, it is a huge double-decker bus. And they go to our games and they give out Iron Brew as part of their partnership to start to engage and get people to sample their product. Interesting one with Iron Brew, what we've actually done with them in the arrangement is link them with the clubs in terms of the product, which is really the first time we've really cracked that. And that means the clubs get engaged and it's in the clubs as well. That's a Whistlestop tour. I probably missed out half all the other bits, but that's how we probably have in 5 years. In 2005, our sponsorship, the IFA's turnover was 5.5 million, and we're a limited company. In March of this year, our turnover was 11.4 million. We have double turnover in 6 years. In sponsorship, we have quadrupled sponsorship over the last while. We have a number of proposals out with massive companies that we've already physically met, which is good, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of effort. Thank you.
Any very quick questions for Geoff?
I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
Talking about sponsorships, Geoff, for what you brought to Northern Ireland football, and it's absolutely brilliant. But as a consumer, what are you doing for the consumers who go to the matches?
For the
How
fans?
can you draw the families back to the glory days?
What we've done, just to put that in context, probably around about the year 2000, our brand was at even an all-time low in that probably we're seen as very sectarian. So we put a Football for All programme together to try and bring back families. We were probably in 2000 odd-ish, a couple of years in between, about 3,000 people would go to our games. And with our activity first and foremost to get that right, and that had to be the right thing, to get right first of all, to get that out of the road and to engage with their fans much closer. And now our games are sellouts. Sometimes, okay, it depends on like friendlies, but in general, sellouts. Put that in perspective, our season ticket holders for our block booking is about 10,500 out of a 15,000 seater stadium, and that's gone from 3,000. What I would say is that we then have met the fans, and we said to the fans, okay, what needs to happen? And the first thing they said that need to happen, merchandising. Merchandising. I can go into Lifestyle, I see a Republic top, an England top, and no Northern Ireland merchandising. That was the first thing that the fans said to us. So we said, okay, that's fine. So what we did, we worked with JJB and with Umbro. When we started, our tops were roughly around about 5,000 tops we were selling each year. And we opened up the channels to market and we expanded the range. We would sell just tops alone now about 45,000 because we opened up the channels to market as well as the success on the pitch. We then also looked at the fans and said, okay, can we meet with you closer together? So I would say it's now near once every 6 months, we meet with the fans on a whole range of issues, everything from the stadium through the issues that they have with the association. And I know of no other association that is doing that and going out and reaching out and saying, okay, how can we work together? We work with the fans very closely on our Football for All programme. And when we looked then at the international, for the first time, because we had so many people in our stadium, we couldn't have a family stand. And that's not good enough. Because there's so many people. It's good in one way, but it's not good enough. So what we did then is we basically put in temporary seats. And for the first time in a long while, we managed to have a family stand in temporary seats because of the stadium. And we dedicated that as a family stand. We went to the BB, the Scouts, and all the rest of it. 2 weeks ago, I was in the BB, not physically in the BB, but went down to see them, to see how can we engage closer with, for example, those sorts of organisations. So there's maybe doesn't see a lot in the media, there is a substantial amount of work that goes on with the fans and meeting for the fans' needs.
What about the clubs like Clinton?
Well, again, probably look at that from again, probably about 2006, 2007. we've got to look at the things that we've done to start off with. So number one, we brought on Sky. So our turnover for probably internet for games was around about, that we would have given the local domestic game, was probably around about 150,000. We now give back to the teams in prize money about 400,000. So we brought on Sky. So that's one thing that we did. Second of all, we brought on a community relations officer dedicated for the domestic league to try and look at that. Third of all, we brought on facilities, a facilities guy. So if you look at Cliftonville and I think Crusaders, part of that money for the 3G pitch came from the Irish IFA through FIFA. So we worked with those organisations to bring money through to your local clubs. Fourth of all, we, through my team, developed a marketing campaign to get more people to our game. And over the last years, we had big changes from 10%, 12%, then it went down to 6%, and then up to 11%, and then we're just about even now. But we spent a lot of money on above the line and below the line activity. Fifth of all, then we brought on Carling as a new sponsor who did a lot of activation. And sixth of all, we brought in a lot of support from an admin point of view in terms of competition services. So, for example, people who will do the league and all the rest of it, we brought in a database. Now all our players are registered. Every player is registered on a database, most sophisticated database in Europe. In the next February of this year, this is a big speak, we will be the most advanced association in CRM activity in the world. How do I know that? FIFA's already told me. FIFA's already told me, and they've already given me money where we're going to do administration right the way down to club level, player registration, discipline, fixture management, assigning referees to games, all that data, membership schemes, somebody bought online, how can the club buy online, how can the club get money, all of that. Met just last night at 5:30. I could go on, you got me started. But we will be the most sophisticated. So what that means here, I'm a referee, come to the game, right? Can I go to the game? How do I know? Don't know, get an email, right? New system, this is what it'll be. You'll go on their website, can you do Crumlin United, Crumlin Rec? Bang, yes I can. Go to the game, do the game, after the game, gets a card, goes, puts in all the registered people who will already be in the data, which they are at the minute, and they'll put everybody's data all in. We will then say, Geoff Wilson, oh bugger, he got a red card. So red card and the results, hit submit, it'll go to the discipline site, text and email, automatically go to the club and say Geoff Wilson's now suspended because he got a red card. And we will know who plays in what leagues. And what we'll be able to do is look at text alerts, and it'll update the league and administration all itself. And that's only the start of it.
Exciting times ahead. Geoff Wilson, round of applause please for Geoff Wilson from the IFA. Thank you very much.